Everton to Chelsea, nil. Maurizio Pochettino's men lose again in the Premier League. They drop to 11th in the table. Another game where they have the majority of the ball. They have the majority of the chances. You would argue they are the better team. You sincerely would. People would. But again, there's a phrase that I would use to describe this Chelsea team right now, and that is all fur coat and no knickers. All fur coat and no knickers. And I'm a liar, actually. Due to conceding that last goal, they have gone to 12th in the table. I haven't even looked. I looked at the league table 10 minutes ago. They're 12th in the Premier League. Let that sink in. A £1 billion investment, a top coach, young stars, the biggest spend we've ever seen from a club in a 12-month period, and they sit 12th in the English Premier League. And if Everton hadn't have had that points deduction, they'd actually be sitting 13th in the league. They are level on points right now with Wolves and Bournemouth. That is nothing short. That is nothing short of disastrous. Absolutely disastrous when it comes to Chelsea. It is a pure, unadulterated abomination to the history built of the last 20 years. These players do not know how to win during adversity. The manager has not improved them to a good enough level. And thirdly, they have bought wrong. They've bought wrong. There's not enough experience. The experience they have isn't good enough for them. And I said a bit earlier, and I stand by it again, all fur coat and no knickers. And what does that mean, in case you're not familiar with that? I'll give you the dictionary definition, or the dictionary definition of all fur coat and no knickers. And listen to this and tell me if this sounds like Chelsea. Have an impressive or sophisticated appearance which belies the fact that there is nothing to substantiate it. So how you look and how you appear is not what you really are. You may look sophisticated. You may look like you play good football. You may look like a good football team. But Chelsea are the epitome. They are the embodiment of all the gear and no idea. They are a team, Chelsea, when I'm looking at them in their last few games, where I think to myself, you are where the eye test fails because you passed the eye test, but you're not a very good team. The eye test will tell you they're a good footballing team. And Ches came on the show last night, Chelsea fan, and called out and said Arsenal didn't play well against Aston Villa because they created the chances and didn't put the ball into the back of the net. And I think there's an element of truth to that. But not if it only happens once or twice every 10, 15, every 20 games where you pass the ball well, you move the ball well, but you just don't create the final ball isn't quite there or you miss chances. Chelsea are doing this on such a regular basis. It is unbelievable. On such a regular basis. It is so poor. It is so shocking. And Chelsea fans, I think they do. I think Chelsea fans feel embarrassed. I think Chelsea fans feel frustrated. And this is and I put my hands up here. This is a rebuild. This is a project that when I looked at what they were doing, I really felt like they were going to start to get it right. And there's been some moments this season where I've looked at Chelsea and gone, they pass the ball well. They play well. They get the ball into the right areas. It will likely click. They've had some really good results. They've had some really good displays. But it's all fits and starts. They are in the friend zone of football. They do all the graft. They play nice football, but they can't get the job done. They're in the friend zone. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. And Maurizio Pochettino, I understand the notion. They can't sack another manager. They need someone to see this rebuild through. But you cannot spend, from his point of view, £1 billion's been spent in the last year and a half. He was only there for one window, but he still had 400 odd million pounds spent. To be sitting 12th is a disaster. And irrespective of needing a manager to help develop these young players, you have to win games at the same time. There has to be a balance. There has to be an element here where you say, hang on, we can't look at this so simplistically. We can't just look at this from the angle of, well, we as Chelsea fans, I'm putting myself in Chelsea fans' point of view here. Well, we need a manager to develop these young players, so we can't sack him. We've bought just young players and they'll come good soon, so we've got to be patient. You've got to be, there's nuance points. There's got to be layered thinking here. Just sacking Poch won't fix you. I understand that. This is going to take a couple of windows of buying experienced players to help these young players be nurtured. But at the same time, you are getting beat by teams that you shouldn't be losing to. And I would say that twice in a week now, they've been beaten by two teams that they should be beating. They've got better players, in my opinion, than Everton. They've got a better manager, in my opinion, than Everton. But Everton got the job done. Man United are in an absolute mess. We just got battered at home by Bournemouth 3-0. Chelsea, they had a couple of chances that they missed, but Chelsea got opened up. Today was a completely different performance. They dominated the ball. They had so many touches inside of the Everton box. But I'm not going to lie to you. I sat there watching this game and genuinely could not help but think, Chelsea ain't scoring if they play for another 90 minutes. They didn't look like scoring. I didn't feel for a single second like Chelsea were going to put the ball into the back of the net. And I'm watching as a neutral with no nerves. I'm watching as a neutral with no real want or desire for the outcome to go either way. It didn't really bother me what way round this game went, if I'm being absolutely honest. This was pathetic from Chelsea. This week has been pathetic. I hold my hands up and I really felt that, okay, they got it a bit wrong last year. They changed managers. They've spent a lot of money again this summer. They're bringing in a manager they truly believe is going to get the best out of these players. They believe in this project. I thought they're going to get this right, or they're going to start to improve. I didn't expect them to be title challengers this year, but they have absolutely, in my opinion, stood still. The football looks a bit better, granted, but what is that worth if you are not beating these teams? 7 games lost so far this season. But even more damning than that, only 5 wins in 16 matches. And when you start looking back from, say, this time last year and start looking at this as more of a, not just this season in isolation, what have Chelsea won in the last 12 to 15 months? I'm guessing now, because I haven't gone and done the research. If you told me they've only won 10 Premier League games in 15, 16 months, I would say I think you're being a little bit generous. I think you might be overstating it somewhat. Absolutely, fundamentally poor on every single level, and it must be criticized. It has to be. Now, I'm not stating before anybody comes on and says it, basic bitch analysis. I don't think just sacking Poch, I'm not saying to sack Poch right now. I don't believe just sacking him fixes the club. I don't believe just bringing in some experienced players fixes the club. I believe it's a combat. I also don't look at it and go, there's a mentality shift that needs to happen. Chelsea, just like my club, Man United, when the going gets tough, when they're a little bit exposed, when there is adversity, they struggle massively in every single way, shape, and form. They really, really do. And I want to gather people's opinions on this. I want to know what Chelsea fans are thinking. I want to know what Chelsea fans are feeling in relation to this situation, especially, again, another performance where you actually look at the cost of Cole Palmer as well in the more attacking midfield role. Your $250 million, your almost £300 million midfield holds onto the ball well, progresses the ball to the edge of the box. But what happens then? Your £90 million player in Mourinho Mudryk, lots of speed, lots of pace, but nothing at the end of it. And I know that this will hurt some Chelsea fans, but I do mean this. When I watch Mourinho Mudryk play, what's the difference between him and Anthony? He beats more men than Anthony, but still does nothing with the ball after that point. He's no different. And I think that so many Chelsea fans have been gaslit because the football looks good, or because he beat a man and did a good trick. What's at the end of it? I used to talk about this when it comes to likes of St. Maximin and players like this. Really good skills, really good pace, really good power. But what was at the end of it? That is where the eye test lets people down, because there has to be something tangible at the end. I know football is entertaining, but it's not entertainment per se. You are entertained by the sport. It isn't entertainment first. And that's why I turned around and said, you know, all the gear but no idea, all fur coat and no knickers. And I just look at it, and this is a bunch of novices. It looks like a bunch of novices that have gone out and spent all the money, bought all the expensive equipment, but lack the aptitude to get satisfactory performances. They move the ball well, it looks okay, but in the cold heart, it's a bit like, you know, a bunch of cowboys building a house. And once all the paint's done, the carpet's laid, and the furniture's put in, it looks like a well-built house. But you know what? When the wind blows, when the weather changes, when there's a bit of wear and tear, when there's a bit of adversity, the cracks start to appear. The shoddy workmanship comes in. And that is how I view this team as of right now. They are an absolute mess. Now, I don't know where the Chelsea fans are today. KJ said he has shared the link. I don't know where anybody is right now. Normally, they wait for me to stop talking and I say, come in now. I want to bring the panel out, but nobody, barring Alex's backstage, nobody has arrived as of right now. So I don't know whether KJ actually sent the link out directly to anybody. I don't actually know the answer to that because I just don't. I'm going to put it into the group chats now. I thought he said that he did, but I can't see it in there. Maybe I'm just being absolutely blind. I'm going to send it to some individuals themselves because I'm genuinely interested to hear their take on today. Genuinely interested to hear their take on today, because it does need to be discussed in every single way, in every shape and every form. It just simply does. Hit the like button for us. Make sure you're subscribing. Of course, today, Man City won a hard-fought game, and LB was absolutely right. I think his prediction was 2-1. I thought they'd have scored a few more goals today, Manchester City. Luton really did themselves proud for large parts of this game. But in the cold, hard light of day, just too much quality from Manchester City, too much ability from Manchester City, and they got the job done how I thought they would. I thought they'd score maybe one or two more goals, but it was important for them to get this win. It was really, really important for them to get this win because Liverpool are now sitting top. They had to close that gap, and there's still a 4-point gap between them, but they could not afford for that to be 7 points. Not with Liverpool. With Arsenal, you could argue you could get away with it potentially because Arsenal Football Club haven't won with this manager in this group a title. 7 points behind Liverpool. It would have been 6 points behind Arsenal and 5 points behind Aston Villa. I actually think even at this stage of the season, you could start to look at the circumstances and say, maybe, just maybe, that could have been the end of things. Genuinely, it could have been the end. It could have been very problematic for City if they'd have lost today. But their quality shone through in every single which way. It was absolutely brilliant watching their comeback, not from a Man United fan's perspective, from a football point of view, just seeing their clutchness, some of their players, that Bernardo Silva again coming up trumps when needed, Jack Grealish getting that winning goal. And for me, that's what you should be expecting from your £100 million players. So a very, very, very good comeback from Manchester City today to put them they're not out of the title race in any capacity, but I felt that if they'd have lost this game to Luton in that way, 7 point, 6 point, 5 point gap, sitting in fourth, and Liverpool, a Spurs win couldn't have put them above them. They'd have been level on points, but level on points with the team in fifth, the pressure then building up. They're missing a game week soon because they go to the World Club Championship. If Liverpool suddenly get a 10 gap point on them, for me, I would have turned around and gone, you know what? It's looking peak for Man City. So that was a very important win, hard-fought win. I think also it demonstrates that whether you win 4-3 or whether you win 2-1, going away to Luton's is a very tough game. They very rarely beat the bigger teams, but they make it very, very hard for you indeed. So I think all the all sort of rivals of Arsenal midweek saying, why are you celebrating winning away at Luton? So far, it's proven to be very difficult for most teams to win games there for one reason or another. We have some super chats here that says, what's that intro music, Terry? I just love it. I don't know. KJ makes the intros. I don't even know what it's called. Thank you, though. Poch getting sacked this week. Rubbish. F off, Poch is what Dyke has got to say here. Dyke is not happy with this in any capacity. DR says, Pochettino out, Reece James out, go and get surgery or get out of my football club. No support in the middle. Attack non-existent. Defense bad is what DR has got to say. Poch and Eric Ten Hag both need the boot. City are so bad is what Ginger Bish has got to say here. Matty says, what did I say, Terry? Poch and Bowley out. Yeah, Matty's been saying that for a long time about those two. Poch is useless. Most of us are any Mourinho back. Get Mourinho back, they want. Interesting. Do you know what's funny with Poch? For years, I've called him a fraud, and I've been told that I don't know ball. I've just always felt when it comes to this guy, there's not a winner in him. I've never looked at him and thought, a winner. Every time I've looked at him, I've just felt that he lacked that winning edge. And he's never taken over a situation like Chelsea, a giant club with a rich history of winning, especially in the contemporary sense, who have fallen from grace and need rebuilding. He's built teams that don't win into good footballing teams. He's taken over. He's gone and won a one-horse race with PSG. And I think, who's the worst manager in the Premier League right now? Some will say Ten Hag. I don't think it is. You could take the worst manager in this league and give him that PSG team, and I guarantee you, give him 2 seasons, he's winning at least one league title over there. It's not a hard thing to do by their standards of the game. So what has Potts actually achieved? So what there is, listen, my manager's doing a bad job at Man United, but I didn't want Poch at Man United, and I think he's proven to a lot of people why. But Enzo was the best player on the pitch. It becomes irrelevant at this point. Fulham thumping 5-0 Bath Post, past both Nottingham Forest and West Ham in 7 days. Yeah, crazy scorelines for them. Bowley and co have destroyed the Project Win. What a mess. They laughed. They was laughing that Lavia and Caicedo got rejected. Liverpool. We are the people who laugh. Listen, where are the people that laugh? I hear you, but Terry, I thought you said Chelsea will come good. Listen, I really thought they would start to improve, but go back and listen to what I actually said. There's one thing talking about the project. What I said about Maurizio Pochettino has come to fruition. I said he'll make them play better football, but I don't know if he's a winner. So again, Chelsea's situation is multi-layered. So the conversation, and I respect your super chat, Zombie, but it isn't about basic analysis of, you said they'd play nice football. I said a lot of things about what would happen with Chelsea. One thing I wasn't convinced about was Poch. However, I really did think the board would have done a lot more research, and the footballing people they brought into the club would have made better decisions in the summer. So far, their decisions have not helped Pochettino at all. They've made some big mistakes. They've bought some duds again. And I don't care who comes in, whether Poch stays or they go and get a winner like Ancelotti or they go getting Jose Mourinho back. They need to go out and buy 4 or 5 players who are 25, 26, 27 years of age, got experience and can help these youngsters because they're drowning. This week, a disappointed Arsenal fan, there's nothing like seeing Chelsea results to put things into perspective. It could be worse, is what Carl says here. Man City won. Well, Liverpool was 10 points ahead. No, I understand that, but I don't believe this City team right now is as good. And you didn't listen to what I've said. Again, you're ignoring parts of my speech with your challenge, and it's an easy debate for me to win with you. If it was just 7 points behind Liverpool, I think they could catch them. But to be 7 points behind Liverpool, 6 points behind Arsenal, 5 points behind Aston Villa, missing a game in December, with those teams, generally speaking, looking really good. And yes, Arsenal lost yesterday, but it was to one of those 3 teams. That's a different hurdle to climb. So you've got to challenge that hurdle, not just with caught one team before, because that is not the same scenario that we are looking at right now. SK says, I've had enough of this. Is the worse than second season Lampard, worse than Potter. We have no system or the chemistry. Get this Spurs bum out. I swear I want to see action this week. Bring De Zerbi in. Our squad is tailored for him. Moises Mudryk is what's been said here by SK. Listen, I hear your frustration, bro, and I understand exactly why you think the way you think in relation to this situation. Ches had a lot of chess yesterday about Arsenal. Football gods. And by the way, I did some research into this. The football gods do exist, and they exist within all the popular religions. If you just Google whatever religion you follow, Google the name of that religion, say Christianity, and what it says about the pride before the fall. And I'll tell you this now. So Christianity, all right? Pride before the fall. Now, so this from a Christian point of view. What does the Bible say about it, right? So the Bible on pride before the fall in the Bible. There's a passage in this. So it's all in religion. It says here, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. It is better to be humble in spirit with the lowly than divine the spoilt of the proud, right? Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because that's written in like Old English. But when you look at the breakdown of that, it is essentially saying that if you remain humble, even in your successes or even as you think you're going to be successful, God is going to reward you with giving you what you want. If you become arrogant, if you become over the top, if you become too prideful, if you become too bashful, that could be taken away from you. That's essentially I've read what this passage means, and multiple religions have this. So when I say the football gods exist, if you're a religious person, they do. Your own religion says it. So stop doing it. Stop doing it. I told you. Treble winning team should be breezing past Luton. Football ain't that simple, bro. I'll defend Man City here. Football isn't as simplistic as A versus B. It is not binary. It is not a pop concert. It is not a low-budget action movie where you know how the story is going to go. You know how it is. It's not like a cheap pop song where you're going to have a verse, a chorus, a verse, a bridge to the final chorus. It isn't basic in that way. Come on now. Disrespectful and ineffective, pound for pound, the worst team in Premier League history, unacceptable and shameful. I'm very patient, but see nothing to believe. Listen, you are right. This is the worst team pound for pound in Premier League history. $1 billion spent and you are sitting where you are. That's the best super chat I've seen today. We need Klopp, Pep type coach. Sadly, none are available. You do need a better coach. You need more experienced players. And so far, even the football people that Todd Bowley has brought in are doing a bad job because they can't see all this. It's a mess. We are falling into the same trap that United fans have been falling into for a decade. No manager can fix what starts at the top. Such disrespect to experience. So I agree. But I also get to this point where I don't think Poch is the man either. So I think those two things can exist in tandem. Feels like a freak season. United, Chelsea off. City off it. Mid-table crazy shake-up. I'm hedging my bets on Villa to win the league. Listen, right now, I'm starting to think more Liverpool than anybody else. Mourinho's third stint feels inevitable at this point. I don't think that's the right move, though, guys. Sack the owners. You can't sack the owners unless you will boycott. And Poch, this is not my Chelsea. Ozan says, welcome, everyone, to Sunday worship with Terry Fleur. Listen, it's true. You actually Google it, and Google it for other religions as well. And they all speak about, they don't speak about the football gods, but just Google what the religious books, whether it be the Bible or the Quran, say about the pride before the fall or variations of that. It's all basically don't tempt the football gods. Don't tempt God into taking something away from you by giving it Billy Big Balls. It exists. It's real. I stand by it. Reece James is done at Chelsea. Look, that's another thing that hasn't even come up in my conversation today. His body's made of biscuits and he's got to go. Not because he's a bad talent, but he's going to keep breaking down, in my opinion. Chelsea, summer 2023 transfer window champions. And Matty here says, Moneyball project fouled. We will finish 15th. Unacceptable. Alex and Hamza are coming on. The rest of the Chelsea boys, I don't know where they are. They haven't turned up today. But Alex is here. Hamza is here. Boys, welcome back. Alex, I want to come to you first, mate, because it's another disastrous day for Chelsea. You lose again. You sit 12th in the league table. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Look, I want Pochettino out sacked like Ancelotti was sacked in the tunnels of Everton. Like, sack him there, kick him there, beat him up in there. Don't let him on a coach. That's how bad I want that manager out. That's number one. Number two, if I catch the defensive coach on the streets, I will personally slap the crap out of him. Because conceding goals every time on the set pieces at Chelsea, the first ball goes in, we clear it. The next ball is nowhere near to be found, and that's how we conceded the rebound. Constantly. Colwill has to be opened. Like when that shot came in today, why was he protecting his balls instead of actually press the ball? The guy literally ran to the ball, protecting his balls. Not ran, he stood still. He should close the gap instead of he was just protecting his balls. My biggest fear was lose against United was because I think it was so bad lost against United that could affect the actual young team that we already had for the next 4 or 5 games. And I was right. I actually predicted that we're actually going to lose. I said we're going to lose the next couple of games, and people will realize that the reason why we're losing, it's not individuals, it's the setup. People saying that we are going somewhere at one point is because we had some kind of patterns happening early in the season. But guess what? The same manager decided to change those patterns and constantly change the way we play. It was never the same back four. It was never same setup. Game after game, game after game. One thing I was gonna criticize the actual what's the name? The ownership. When you spend the money, you do not spend the money on your academy and your number one team at one time. You build your number one team first, so academy players be interested by joining them. That's why you don't have to overpay them to come to Chelsea. That's all it is. We didn't spend the billion on the number one squad. We spent the billion on academy and starting 11, and we didn't got nowhere near. You see what I'm saying? There's no actual good signing if you think about it. The way the money is actually showing us. None. I want Mourinho. I don't care.
You want Mourinho back?
Yeah.
You think?
I know it's not going to happen for one specific reason, because board will not hire a manager that actually going to challenge them. That's the reason they're not going to get him. But I want Mourinho because I want them to challenge the actual board. You know what I'm saying? I want that kind of manager that actually going to challenge the board. That's all it is.
Alec, Andrew's here with us, Winter Surfer. Do you agree with that? Will that fix your team, bringing back Jose Mourinho?
I don't want Jose Mourinho here because I don't want him tainted in our fan base's eyes and everything like that. I just don't. I just want someone who can coach. This word in the fan base needs to be removed. Elite or big name. Eddie Howe, Unai Emery. They're not seen as elite, but they're coaches. Okay? They're coaches. This is a problem. Today was another pathetic display, and his ineptitude and his coaching staff are written all over it. He doesn't know what I don't know what he's doing. He has like 8 or 9 days sometimes in between games. This is the first time in weeks that we've had 2 games back to back in a short amount of time. We're not seeing anything. There's no pattern. There's no style of play. I don't know what they're trying to do. I mean, I don't know why. His substitutions are mad to me. He brings on Ian Matson for 7 minutes. For what? For what? What's he going to do? He kept with Mudryk. Mudryk's a sprinter who gets a footballer's wage. That's all he is.
Did you hear what Harry Redknapp said about him? Have you seen that clip?
No,
essentially, Harry Redknapp was talking, I think, on TalkSport, and they asked him about Mykhailo Mudryk, and he said when Chelsea signed him, and obviously Lampard went back, Lampard spoke to Harry, obviously their family, and said, we've got this kid, 90 million, who's got great raw talent, but he cost 90 million pounds. And I know Lampard's not the greatest of managers. That isn't because he doesn't understand football. It's because he isn't able to. Yeah, but let me finish. But he's a bad manager because he isn't able to communicate things particularly well and teach you. But my belief is he understands football. The feedback was this young kid's raw, but he doesn't know the game. And what Harry Redknapp says is, how are you spending 90 million pounds on a player that doesn't know the game of football yet? You do that. Yes, it's raw talent. But if he's that raw that he doesn't really understand how to play football at the elite level yet, you can't be dropping 90 million pounds on him. It's crazy.
No, and that's where I will get on the owners in the terms of, like, all the other owners are not football people, but they've hired the best football people near enough in those positions. Like City's owners aren't football people, but they got the Barcelona people in, right? No matter what you think of them. Like FSG got Michael Edwards in. You want to people bag on Edu and stuff like that, but at least they're like football people and they're doing things. Because no one's meant. No Arsenal fans aren't mentioning Kroenke for like 2 years, right, or anything like that. So it's about getting the best of the best in. All right, we've got guys who listen. Wherever you think they're just not doing their job in terms of like they were boasting at the start of the start of the season. You'll see what we like. Stuart's been boasted about. Oh, you'll see what our plan was. It will come. You'll see it right now. But then it all filters down, right? Because the manager is still there, still got to put his ideas across. He has not got the excuse of playing extra games whatsoever.
I've got a question.
There was nothing. Hang on, Alex. There's nothing there. It's like the lineup today. He just throws Broja in for what? What did he throw Broja in for? He hardly gave him any minutes. This is what I don't get. And he changed the centre back partnership again. He changed the centre back partnership again. He does this every game.
It's a little bit biased because I actually do think like first of all, I'm not going to take any manager's advice from Lampard. He can go, he's a legend of the game, but that just shows that Lampard is like sometimes the players do not make a good managers. And I don't care about what Lampard said about Mudryk. That's not my point. My point is I actually think that when you bring those kind of players, you don't bring them as a starting 11. You bring him to learn from somebody. Mudryk's supposed to be learning from somebody. Who is he learning from? Sturridge? No, not Sturridge. What's his name?
Sterling.
Sterling.
Well,
He's supposed to learn from Sterling.
This is, mate, you're absolutely right. This is your problem. Is even your older players are not leaders. And if it's true that Thiago Silva said doesn't want the captaincy because his English isn't good enough, that isn't a good enough reason for me. Football is pretty much an international language in itself. I think you've been at the club a few years now. If that's the only thing that's stopping you, why haven't you learned a little bit more English? All you've got to learn is ref, and talk to him. Like, they'll be able to communicate. You don't have leaders in your team, and you need to invest in that. And that's what's not helping these youngsters. There's a lot of talent and there's a lot of ability there, but they look like a bunch of boys lost. They look absolutely. If you went and got loads of apprentices who've just passed their qualifications and employed them all to build you your house, even though they've all got the qualifications, your house would have problems. You still need experienced builders, construction workers on site leading them. When you first pass your driving test, legally you can drive, but are you as comfortable with someone who's been driving 10 years and has got experience? No, my theory is you don't learn to drive until you pass your driving test. Then you really learn what the road is about. That first day you drive by yourself, it's a different experience to having somebody else next to you that's got control of the pedals. And these youngsters at Chelsea need help, and that's on the board. Equally, though, I look at what your manager's doing, and I agree with Winter Surfer. Changing your subs, your centre-backs all the time isn't allowing certain players to get a good run of games where they can get up ahead of steam. You know, the fact that, again, Reece James, I understand they want to... There comes a point with Reece James where you've got to say, this guy's body is going to keep letting you down. He should not be a first-team starter anymore. Forget his ability. He keeps breaking down. Chelsea fans have got to wake up and smell the coffee, and so has his manager. Yes, he might be a poster boy of the club. He's from the academy, but he keeps getting injured. And how many players have been as injury prone as him in our lifetimes watching football who have suddenly not become injury prone anymore? The only guy I can think of, he had 2 full seasons, one at Arsenal and then at Man United, where he didn't pick up injuries. But before and after that, Van Persie was injury prone. Like Reece James, in my opinion, and it's his hamstrings. These things are going to keep going and going and going.
Well,
all these problems are on the manager.
I've said it. Once Gusto is fit, Gusto should be the right back. That's it. When Gusto is fit, he should be the first choice right back. Reece James, if they check this out, and he needs surgery and he refuses to, then that's on him. He's finished. Okay, he's finished, because now it's a problem with the hamstring. It would need like a Kante style operation on like Kante, and if he's out for months, he's out for months. But he needs to do everything to try and get it right. He needs to change his body type as well, I think, if he can. Or the conversation needs to be, you can't play right back. So you need to find another position.
Absolutely. Maradon here says, Terry, you said Mudryk was a good player. Listen, I watched about 10 of his games before. Well, we thought Arsenal were getting him, weren't we? And there was talent in there. I saw what he did in the Champions League, and raw talent. I saw a really good young player. But for me, there's 2 things that have gone wrong here. One, he's gone to a team with 0 experience, with no solid structure, and that's damaged him. Secondly, I think he personally has made a mistake by at the last minute going to Chelsea. We've seen this happen before. Alexis Sanchez, all set to go City, and then because of a big offer, has had his head turned last minute and gone to Man United. I bet if you actually asked Mykhailo Mudryk honestly, if he was allowed to answer honestly, he'd say, I don't think I should have done this. I should have just gone no move now and maybe waited into the summer and gone to Arsenal or got the deal done there. I think those two things have happened. There's a great line in a song by the brilliant Barry Manilow, which is the right love at the wrong time. And I think Mudryk is a superb talent, but I think he's gone to the wrong club at the wrong time. And you put all those things together, and it's been an absolute disaster. We have some super chats here. Then I'm going to chat to Hamza. This says, that's Cap Terry. So I'll come back to that one and put it to Hamza. Clown Lake FC. Johnny Minerals told you. Is what he says here. Johnny Minerals also says that Mount and Kai Havertz are world class.
Yeah, he didn't start going against the owners until we start dropping Mount, by the way. He also posted a video that said Graham Potter would be our Alex Ferguson. So Johnny's got an agenda when it comes to Mount. So.
Geez, Hamza, we survived. We need to change. We'll come back to that one too soon. This is funny. It says Hamza just sitting there smiling is priceless. When he was shouting, I need to pray. Only God can help us after City went 1-0 down. This under 21s to 25 policy ruined us. We need a manager that challenges the board in the way Thomas Tuchel, and look what happened. It's true. Why is this bald Brazilian wannabe fraud here? Hey, don't speak about my Hamza like that. That's not right. That's not fair. I truly believe if Mudryk came to Arsenal, he'd be a different player. I agree. I do think that it's pie in the sky, though, because we will never know. But Hamza, big win today for City. First win in 5. Had to go through a little bit of adversity to get there, though, mate.
Absolutely. Listen, it was a tough game. I was gonna come here first and say it's men against boys, but it was a tough one. Terry, oh my God, nearly had a heart attack. Thought about calling an ambulance. Man, we underestimate these kind of small teams like Luton and all that. But we're going through a patch where players are lacking confidence. We're making mistakes. We've come not beating this poor Chelsea side, dropping points against Tottenham and then losing to Villa and then going to Luton. I'm sorry. I've always said it. We're Manchester City. Some people are saying, oh, it's okay to do. No way. There's no way. Pep Guardiola can't draw to Luton Luton FC, sorry. But in terms of our football club today, today we had to dig in deep. It was a tough win. When we went 1-0 down, I thought, no way, this can't happen again, But my players look lethargic, they were tired, but big up to the players, They worked hard, they got that result. And that's the result we needed. We needed that kind of result because now the momentum is going to build up. We've got Crystal Palace next game, and hopefully the belief is still there. But we have to be very, very careful. There are things there that has shown in the last couple of weeks that we've been talking about in the recent streams. And you can see the players are tired. They're lethargic. Alvarez is tired. Foden has been played 90 minutes and we haven't got players to rotate. So we've got this squad of 13 players and we keep replaying them. And I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for Foden. I feel sorry for Alvarez. These guys are playing internationally and coming here and they have to grind deep. And they did well. The key thing is we needed 3 points and that's what City had.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I do think you guys still look a little out of sorts. There is a tiredness that's crept in. Do you know what I think is interesting? Is that now that your fans are talking about it, your manager's talking about it, I think it's creeping into your players. And I think that for the first time in a while, Man City look a little bit fragile and they look as though they can be got at. But today was such an important win because I do believe if you were 7 points from the top, but also 6 points away from second, 5 points away from third, within 2 weeks' time, you're going to miss a game week. And those gaps could grow to, theoretically, to 10, 9, and 8 points. Even though you're a brilliant team, even though you're a world-class team, that might just be a little bit too much for City to overcome. So a huge win in terms of keeping pace with the teams at the top right now.
Yeah, I believe, but I just believe looking at Liverpool don't look the same. Liverpool, they've got a good manager, but they're very fragile. They against Crystal Palace. If that player doesn't get sent off, I'm telling you now, there's no doubt Palace are winning that game. And Liverpool are having they're having decision going on their way because Premier League feel that they have to compensate for what happened at Tottenham. So decision are going to go on Liverpool side. I'm sorry, but nothing's going to happen to Crystal Palace about that error that they made. Arsenal, they look fragile as well. But the thing that puts us in a steady space, momentum at that moment is to win this game, wait for KDB to come back. And once we got KDB coming back, John Stones coming back, I think the key thing we need to do is January. January is key. January, the biggest mistake we made, Terry, is we believed you frauds. We believed all of you frauds telling us, oh yeah, City have got a big squad. You've seen my bench again today. I said it before. To have players, I got Scott Carson, Ortega, Oscar Bob, Calvin Phillips, Sergio Gomez, and Rico Lewis. If I took a picture of that bench and then show Real Madrid, they'll be laughing at that and say that's not Man City.
But you bought Kovacic. You're saying the Kovacic is so good.
To elevate themselves and get a player that should be replacing Rodri. A player that we can rely on. Calvin Phillips is not the guy, I'm sorry. He's probably a guy at other clubs like Chelsea or anyone else. But at City's level is top world class.
Hamza, but you told us you thank you for Kovacic.
Rodri's position. We need to get another number 8 because Kovacic he's not reliable. He's going to be injured again. So we need I think we need 2 signings. And I think 100%, I put money there. City are going to sign now. There's no doubt because how come Pep doesn't try? How come he doesn't bring them on? How many games? And I feel sorry for him.
Now listen, you guys, your recruitment recently has been poor. You're right. You need to go and spend in January. This is the one thing though about Man City and compared to a lot of the other so-called big teams in the Prem, you will go and spend. One thing your club does brilliantly, and it has done for Pep on a number of occasions, when he's bought duds, and he has bought duds, fullback duds, he's bought goalkeeping duds, your club let him very quickly. And look, you're laughing there, V, but it's true. Every manager in the history of football has bought bad players, right? It's not a dig, it's a fact. Where your club is so brilliant is you allow your manager to replace almost straight away. Where most other clubs, our owners make our managers persevere. Sometimes we make multiple managers persevere with substandard players. And if he's told, no, you've got to stick with Núñez and Kovacic for the next 2 seasons, then you guys are not going to be as good. But you won't do that. You guys will go out in January and in the summer, and you'll just spend another £200 million, and you'll get it right this time.
But Terry, that's not true. The biggest mistake we made is we kept chopping and we didn't replace because we believed what you guys say. We chopped on Sterling. Who's Sterling replacement? Who did we replace Sterling with? We lost Cancelo. Who did we get?
Doku. Isn't Doku's the best thing since
There's names I can mention.
You spent £100 million on the replacement for Sterling, and that's Jack bloody Grealish. You spent
Sterling played with Grealish.
Yes, but you don't see. This is what your club does, though. So hang on, I can't allow you to misrepresent what other City fans have told me. I want to challenge you with it. What I'm told, City fans have told me, just like with Rodri, when you need to replace a player, when the manager's thinking of selling him or they want to leave or they're too old, typically what you do is you buy the replacement before that player leaves, and there's a crossover period. So for me, what do you mean that's not true?
Because we offered Sterling a contract. We've offered.
Right. Do you want me to stop you right now?
We offered a contract. That means we wanted him to stay as well.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not allowing you to do this. Your replacement with Sterling was Haaland and Alvarez. Okay.
Haaland was Aguero's replacement.
No, it wasn't.
Alvarez was Jesus' replacement.
Aguero was gone in 2021.
Yeah, but we didn't get a striker.
We didn't replace him.
I'm not having this underdog bullshit story you City fans do all the time. Okay, you bought Haaland and Alvarez. If your squad isn't good enough, that's on Pep. But Hamza, you refuse to blame Pep for anything. He put this squad together. If your squad is short and he refuses to play players, that's down to Pep and Pep only. But you refuse to blame Pep for anything. You blame every other manager for how their squad is and who they select. But you refuse to blame your own manager when it comes down to it. Your replacements were Haaland and Alvarez. Boo-hoo. We feel so sorry for you. You replaced.
No, but it's not true. It's not true. Everyone knows for a fact.
It's not true. It's not true.
Hang on. So V, let me go to V a second. So V, what's not true? So you haven't replaced Aguero and you haven't replaced Raheem Sterling in your squad. That hasn't happened.
So hold on, because it's a lot of things that you're mentioning. When we brought in Haaland, obviously he was for Aguero.
Yep.
But when we lose, hold on, before that, when we lose Sane,
yep,
we don't replace Sane.
Yep. Where was the replacement?
We haven't. When we lose
You
Jesus
give
and
the
Sterling-
progression of Foden. You give the
No,
progression of
no,
Foden.
no, no,
What
no,
was
no,
David
no.
Silva?
Listen,
No, that was the biggest slide that Pep told you. That
no,
Foden
it's
is
not.
the David
No,
Silva
no, it's not.
replacement.
Hang on a minute.
Foden's
So
best
this-
position is actually to play
So
centrally.
let's go through this, right? So when did Sane leave? So when Sane left in the summer of 2000, that same summer you bought Diaz, you bought Ake. You did bring a replacement in for him. You bought Ferran Torres.
And
No, we
where's
sold
Ferran
him.
Torres?
So what was the
This is,
replacement?
hang on, but this is the thing. Just because the player flopped or was sold doesn't mean you didn't buy a replacement.
No,
Yeah.
okay, but
And the
Terry,
point, hang on, let me finish my point. So you bought Ferran Torres as an example. The next year you bought Jack Grealish and Alvarez came in, right? The
No.
year after that, you bought in Erling Haaland as an example.
if you're
And this year you brought in Doku. So over the last 4 years, you've brought in a number of forwards, some that play wide, some that play as strikers. And those guys have been your replacements for the Sanes and for the Agueros. You
Terry,
have acting like you guys have not replaced your players that have left is an absolute bald-faced lie.
no, the bull-faced lie is when you guys say when a player goes out, they immediately
We
come in.
don't get-
That is not true.
Okay,
We
no,
don't do
okay,
that.
okay.
But if you're looking,
Okay. So I will stand corrected in the sense of when Aguero left in the summer of what year did he leave? It was the summer of 2020, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So
And we
in
didn't
the
play
summer,
with that striker.
yeah, okay. So you didn't get one, but that's because you went for Harry Kane and you didn't get the deal done. So
Yeah.
you don't always get your replacement in. But
and we
a
play
lot of the-
without it.
Hang
And,
on,
and
let
our
me finish.
manager.
Let me finish talking. But at the same time, I've sat with Big Steve, and Big Steve, like, the reason my club is so well run is Rodri was the replacement for Fernandinho, but he came in before Fernandinho left. So you guys have on occasions, or have on many occasions, brought players into your club to develop them to be the replacements from a long-term point of view. Where I'm praising your club, this isn't even a dig, I was praising you, is if Rodri hadn't have improved, you wouldn't have persevered with him. You'd have bought somebody else. Where I'm saying you guys are well run, this is praising your club. You've gone and wasted money, according to Pep Guardiola, on Calvin Phillips, on Nunez and Kovacic. And you guys seem to be agreeing with that. Your owners, are you telling me your owners are not going to let him replace them quickly?
I can't answer that, Terry. I can't.
Because you know it's a fucking
No,
trophy.
no,
Come
hold
on.
The reason why I smile as you're talking and you're saying it's not a dig is because you're making it seem like it's so simplistic that when we lose a player, our manager instantly gets it back, which isn't true. You mentioned that our
But
our
that's
board.
not what Terry said.
No, hold on.
That isn't what I said.
Exactly. I don't understand why he keeps saying it.
That isn't what I said. I've said, and I stand corrected on a few bits, you don't replace everybody like for like straight away. Sometimes you get people in before they leave. You always try to replace the players that have left. And whenever you've bought flops, you have very quickly bought somebody else within a window or two, right or wrong, generally speaking.
Generally, yes. But let's look at this.
Let's look up.
As you were
What are
going
we
through
even
the list-
arguing about?
Yeah, you're right there. I know what you're
Ferran Torres. Look at the downgrade. We lost Sane and we bought Ferran Torres.
That's not the point. Hamza, I'm sorry to be rude. You are doing basic analysis here. Yes, buying a flop replacement doesn't mean you didn't replace the person. But you literally, Ferran Torres came in, wasn't good enough. You bought him. I'll tell you when you bought him, because I'm looking at it now. You bought him in the summer of 2020. And by the January of 2022, so 18 months later, he was moved on. And by the way, and before you moved him on, you'd spent 117 million euros on Jack Grealish. And in that same January, I know it didn't come until the summer, but you spent the 21 million euros on Julian Alvarez as an example. So you went and did that. The following summer, you went and bought Erling Haaland. So it's not act like you haven't replaced your
Let me just tell you. Haaland was Aguero replacement. Jesus or Alvarez was Jesus replacement. Everyone knows that for a fact. The players like Yaya, Sane, we never replace at top quality levels. Let's say, for example, we lost
Okay.
We
I'm
lost
not doing
Ferran
this.
Torres.
We're doing semantics. Sorry, stop. I'm not doing this on the football terrace. It isn't how we analyze. You tried to replace them. Buying flops doesn't give you the right to go, but we never replaced them. You tried to. So let's just change the wording. So you've tried to replace every player that's ever left. How do we know this? Otherwise, your squad would have about 15 people in it. Of course, you replace your players. All we're doing here, we're going down a rabbit hole that doesn't need to happen. We have praised your club because the one sobering fact is this: when you buy flops or a player doesn't turn out to be who you think, your club, in my opinion, under Pep, has invariably let him replace that player very quickly. I don't understand why you're all sitting there and denying that and acting like I'm insulting your club. It's weird to me. Really weird for me.
If I got this wrong, I didn't think you were insulting the club. I just thought that you were talking about when it's wrong, the money splashed right away, and it's not right away.
No.
It's pretty much right away though.
No, it's not.
Look.
How is it not right away? How is it not within a window or two? Ever?
No, I'll give you an example.
Because we'll go a season with our manager making do with what he has. And yes, the following season we do. In this instance,
so other than Aguero, when you didn't get Harry Kane, when else have you done that?
Company, go on. Who did you replace Company?
Company, we have to wait. But when we talk about
hang on. We'll do that. Stop. When did Company leave?
Company left in the summer.
What summer?
When we won
right. So he left in. Stop talking. He left in the summer of 2019, right?
What? Yeah. Who did you replace?
Okay, so that summer you didn't buy any more centre backs.
After winning the title, right?
You didn't buy any. You didn't buy any more centre backs from that. Okay, the following season you did that. You bought, so within one summer you didn't. The following summer you bought Ake, and you bought Diaz. So you, as I said, within a window or two you replaced them. I didn't say everyone gets replaced instantly. I said within a window or two, it's done. The point I made earlier, and we can roll off after this, is that unlike a lot of so-called other big clubs, our managers are made to persevere for 2, 3, 4, 5 years with players that aren't good enough or when there's holes. You guys don't suffer that.
No, you don't.
And that's not me. That's not me saying. I'm praising you for it.
Hold on, Terry.
I don't understand why you're fighting back against praise.
One second, Terry. Are you trying to make it seem like Chelsea have to persevere?
No.
Is it? Are you putting?
Oh my God!
I'm trying to understand because you're making it seem like we're the only
generally
club.
getting rattled here. Stop! I didn't mention Chelsea. I've mentioned multiple other teams. Right? Chelsea in the last 2 years have definitely spent a lot of money, but I know my club has had many flops in recent years, and Man United had flops in recent years. How long has it taken us to replace those players?
Come on.
The fact that hang on, are you telling me?
No, but why would we use United? Because you guys have been poorly run for a very long time.
Exactly.
Let's use
sorry. I'm losing my mind here. I'm slagging off my own club by saying some other so-called big clubs persevere with flops. What I said is amazing about your club is you don't do it. What are we arguing about? I'm so angry because I can't believe we're arguing about nonsense.
Terry.
Oh my God.
It's not about replacing it. My issue, why I had to speak up, was you made it seem like it's automatic. We splash the cash.
You do splash cash.
Okay.
You do replace flops.
Here's what I was.
Terry, I'll tell you what.
That's all I said.
What we say. I've last season when everyone was saying City have got a small squad, I feel sorry for Pep. I thought, yo, this guy's got a small squad, but he's being told, you're the greatest manager, deal with it. Doesn't matter. But he keeps dealing with it. And sometimes the replacement he gets.
Do you want to know why he doesn't deal with it?
I'll give you an example. Real Madrid.
Stop. I'll tell you why he doesn't just go through it. When did he join your club? What summer? 2016. So in his first summer, 216 million spent. Second year, 370 million spent. The following year, this is actually a low year for you guys. You only bought Mahrez, 80 million spent. Year after that, 180 million spent. Year after that, 175 million spent. Year after that, 138 million spent. The year after that, 160 million. The year after that, 240 million. This summer was 240 million. You man have spent big money every single year. You are not paupers. You are not an underdog story. You are an amazingly run football club who rightfully replaces flops quickly and replaces exiting players quickly. And in some cases, and in many cases, you are planning ahead, and you know when players are getting old. You have you have players already ready to come in and replace them, either already in your squad or lined up to be purchased and bought. You are a brilliantly run football club. There's question marks over whether it's all legitimate. That's another conversation for another day. But you're brilliantly run. The fact you guys try to play it down like you've gone through crazy adversity and problems, and your club isn't run that well, but Pep manages to get you through it is absolute bullshit. Come on, man.
What actually
you should embrace the fact that you're so well run, but you're trying to act like you're run like Man United, but still winning. Bloody hell, man.
People don't give us credit on the way that I feel sorry for him in a way.
Oh my God. I'm giving you credit. I'm giving you credit, and you're acting like I shouldn't because you want to be an underdog. It's weird, bruv.
No, but we have to sell also to buy. Everybody has
Everybody has to sell to buy.
No.
Every club in the
Hamza
world.
getting exposed,
Every club in the
man.
world sells to buy. Listen, let's go to some of these super chats here. This says City fans are annoying because they are pretty girls who got doctored up and refuse to believe they get pretty privilege they pay for. Even Chelsea had to stick with duds longer than City does. This here says, as a City fan, it's the time. I agree with Terry. Of course you agree with me, because what I'm saying is an unadulterated fact. It can't be argued with. I'm praising them. That's why I'm so confused. Old Terry, can you let this rich man's problem off the channel? It bucks me all the time when City fans always cry. Their problems are so minimal. They are bigger problems across the road. Listen, they've definitely got problems, but they don't ever want to say what the actual problem is. And that's that their manager and their club has bought 3 or 4 players in the last year or so that are nowhere near your standard. But instead of saying that, they just say our squad's so small. They don't quite go fully in. Because they also know it'll be replaced very quickly as well, so there's no point. City fans are trying to be victim FC so bad. Ray here says, what about the goalkeepers, the centre-backs, and all the right-backs and left-backs Pep replaced? That's true. Very early on, it was done very, 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 very regularly. City fans want to hold on to this. We are underdog story. They was at one time, not anymore. Can't proclaim to be a growing club and still trying to be an underdog. This here says that these City fans are insufferable. Underdog FC. With the utmost respect possible, Hamza's not a fool. Hamza's a good guy, man. Let's be respectful here. He's a good guy. I know I'm shouting, but I know these guys. I'm not being rude to them personally. Let's not call people names. Hamza keeps saying, because we believe what you are saying, as if Man City's board are listening to us for these discussions. Yeah, yeah. They bought bad players because Terry Fleur said so. Hamza, you fraud. Liverpool Kings are coming back. You'll never walk alone. Consider how many players City has had to replace. Yeah, they've had a lot of players they've had a number of players to replace, like most clubs, but they get it done so well. I've always praised them for it. I really, really have. Look, boys, it is the end of the show because I've got to go and watch this game. It's just gone 1-0 Spurs, actually. Big game for them today. Hamza, Andrew, and Alex. I did hear from Don, by the way. Don said he was out in public and he couldn't find anywhere quiet to speak.
Oh, sure.
So that's what Don has said. So he can't come on. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you all very much. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.